Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness. This time round, we're checking out Doom 4 for Doom, a mod that does exactly what it says on the tin, brings gameplay elements of Doom 4 into classic Doom, and you know what? It does a damn fine job of it too. Because from the first moment you start this up, you'll notice that it is dripping with quality. I mean, look at that spinning model there. That is absolutely lovely. The sprite work on the weaponry itself is absolutely spot on. It blends wonderfully into classic Doom. And as you'll have already noticed, the gameplay doesn't escape this mod unscathed either. It's been altered to more reflect the style of gameplay that you'd normally experience in Doom 4, and it really does change up the way you play. This is definitely a mod that understands that in order to replicate a Doom 4 style experience, you've got to go a lot further than just weaponry. It's all very well and good to have weapons that look and kind of feel like the Doom 4 counterparts, but when it comes to the enemies, you're going to have to change those up as well. And as you can see, a lot of the enemies here, if not all of them, have been tweaked in some way to reflect the Doom 4 versions. Enemies are, by default, a lot more aggressive. They'll occasionally have special charge attacks that they can fling at you, especially with regards to imps and soldiers. And cacos, they're pretty much a pain in the ass. So I think they've pretty much nailed it in that regard. There is one aspect of this mod, though, that some may count as a glaring omission, and that's the fact that there's no glory kills to be found here. No! You do have insta-kills, but that's usually through the chainsaw here, provided you got enough fuel, and berserker packs, which, as you can see, can turn most enemies into a fine red paste. But yeah, there's no method here for softening up enemies, performing finishing moves on them, and to be honest, this mod doesn't really suffer from the absence of that, and let's face it, if you're desperate for glory kills, if you're desperate for finishing moves, you know where Brutal Doom is. It's not like it's a well-kept secret or anything. But despite the absence of glory kills, there are a few other surprises to be enjoyed here. This, for example, is the static rifle from Doom 4's multiplayer mode. It's not available in single player, but thankfully the authors saw fit to include it here, and it charges via movement. The longer you travel before you let off a round, the more powerful the shot will be, and it can usually cut through the toughest of enemies at full charge. But one of the nicest things that made its way across is the upgrade option. So you don't have to seek out drones to upgrade your weapons, you just have to have enough credits. And to get credits, you kill enemies. Pretty simple. And the reason for that heavy metal chugging riff at the end of that last segment was because I successfully killed all of the enemies on the stage, which granted me a little bit of an extra credit bonus. And for that reason, I'd probably recommend you play this with multi-level map packs, because playing it with one map alone will generally mean that you won't have time to earn enough credits to slap that fun stuff onto the side of your guns. And that's part of the joy of Doom 4, earning those upgrade points, slapping on a modification to the side of that weapon and making it even more badass. It's just a shame that the static rifle and the lightning gun, which is the other weapon from Doom 4 multiplayer, doesn't have an upgrade option in this particular mod. And I would have thought that would have been an obvious pick for something to expand and add to, because as it stands, the static rifle here takes quite a while for you to charge it up through movement to unleash that full power blast, and I feel like an upgrade option that reduces that charge time would be very much welcome. In all honesty though, there's not really that much for me to complain about here, because the truth is, this mod does a fantastic job of translating those core critical Doom 4 gameplay elements into classic Doom, and I'd even go as far to say that it does a fantastic job of streamlining those elements as well. What I mean by that is that they've taken a lot of the upgrade faff that exists in Doom 4 and just pared it down completely. You don't have to bother with armor upgrades, you don't have to bother with collecting runes and upgrading the runes, and for some they may enjoy all of that, but it has a habit of stopping you dead in your tracks while you mull over what option you want to pick next. Whereas here, it's very much let's crack on with making everything go splat and explode into piñata treats, and that's the part of Doom 4 style gameplay that I enjoy the most. Ultimately, gameplay mods like this succeed or fail depending on how well balanced they are, and in truth, you can be completely unbalanced as long as it's unbalanced in the right way. Russian Overkill comes to mind, a mod so ridiculously over the top, a mod that knows it's ridiculously over the top, being one of the most entertaining Doom mod experiences you can have. Whereas this is aiming very much for an authentic replication of Doom 4. You've got the challenge as well as feeling like a badass, and that's a really hard balance to strike. If you veer too hard in one direction, the mod feels unfair to play. If you veer too hard in the other, it feels like a cakewalk, and the consequence of either of those is that the player starts to lose interest pretty damn quickly. And I think I can safely say that this is a mod that does not suffer from that particular problem. It is balanced really, really well. I mean, sure, it does step up the difficulty a fair bit. You may have to dial it down in relation to what you're used to with your favorite map sets, but once you get into the groove of it, it really does keep your interest for a long time. The inclusion of the upgrades as well means that you'll always be eager to earn more credits, to upgrade those weapons and be even more effective. And yeah, as I've already said, a fantastic translation of those core Doom 4 elements, the things that make it feel fun to play, that make you want to keep playing. I think one of my favorite things about this mod, though, is definitely what they've done to the enemies in order to bring them more in line with their Doom 4 counterparts. And this is largely because it means I don't have to deal with Archviles. Regular viewers of this channel will know that I hate Archviles with a white-hot burning rage, and having to deal with a summoner variant instead is so much better. As you can see, they're quite zippy. You gotta pin them down before they summon too many enemies in, and crucially, they don't have that irritating lock-on flame pillar bullshit where you're completely screwed if you're out in the open. If you are, you can still dodge the projectile that it chucks toward you, and that is just so much better than having to deal with an Archvile. It's one of the things that I really like about Doom 4. It's one of the things that I really like about Doom 4 for Doom. Come to think of it, playing this mod is probably a really great idea for people who have computers that aren't quite up to snuff in terms of modern gaming. You know, if you can't get your computer to run Doom 4, there's always this. It'll give you a good idea of what that Doom 4 gameplay is like. Granted, it takes a few liberties, but in my opinion, it streamlines it in a pretty effective way. And you also get to play around with a few of the multiplayer weapons as well. Seriously, I wish the static rifle and the lightning gun were actually in the single-player campaign, but unfortunately, for some reason, they're not. I think there's one other weapon in multiplayer that didn't make it, but that doesn't really matter because it's absolute ass. The Hell Rifle! That's the one I'm thinking of, but yeah, steer clear of it if you can. But before I close this video out, I thought I'd show you a boss battle between myself and the Cyber Demon. Much like its Doom 4 counterpart, it's got a fresh number of attacks here. There's a shockwave attack that goes across the ground and through midair. Very easy to avoid here. In Doom 4 you kind of get stuck into a corridor situation where you've got no choice but to leap over those attacks. It's a homing railgun attack, which is pretty cool, and your regular old rocket spam, but when it comes to standing up to a BFG blast, everyone dies. But also notably, the Cyber Demon. The Cyber Demon in Doom 4 does stand up to a heck of a lot more punishment, though. But, you know what? I feel like firing the BFG again, because there's just such a cool effect when you fire it. Let's do this! Oh, that's nice. I love the visual distortion on the screen there as you let off a round. Makes it feel genuinely powerful, as it should do. It's a goddamn BFG. So yeah, that's Doom 4 for Doom, a mod that I feel sets a pretty high bar, all things considered, for gameplay mods of this style, gameplay mods that seek to replicate the Doom 4 gameplay experience, and it's going to be interesting to compare this against other mods that are floating around, because I know there's at least two others that seek to do a similar thing. I know there's one that's designed to work with Brutal Doom, and I know there's another more generalized one as well, but I'll get to them in due time. Be interesting to see what they have to offer, but I'm going to give them a little bit of breathing room. I don't want to inflict the same kind of mod on you guys, you know, for 3 weeks straight. But if you feel like checking this one out, the link, as usual, is in the description below, as is the link to the current map pack I'm using here, which is Scythe 2. Fantastic map pack. Just be aware that the double jump ability can break the flow of certain maps here, but if you're worried about that, you can turn that ability off. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments, and feel free to suggest any mod you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of Doom Mod Madness. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.